that we'll get to here and talk about this first one. Though we have an active storm track, and again, I'm not just talking for Hampton Roads in the Mid-Atlantic. I'm talking about the country. We have a series of storms that are going to come, a couple of them this week, really 3 this week that we're dealing with, and that means get ready for more winter weather, especially if you're in the Northeast U.S. and back in the Central U.S. We're also looking at some weather threats, some more strong storms down across parts of the Deep South. I'll show you that threat, and we're going to talk travel impacts, areas that could see some very heavy rain, possibly some snow messing with your travel over the next couple of days. So we've got all of this coming up that we're going to break down. Then I got to ask you, here it is, early to mid-February. Can you believe, is it really time to start thinking about gardening? Well, we've got a story here on what you should be doing when you get the chance in between these snowstorms to start prepping your gardens for the planting season that is just around the corner. And finally, a little trip to paradise. You know, we've talked so much about all the crazy weather going on around the world. It's nice to take a look at Hawaii, and we've got a beautiful package showing the Hawaiian rainbows and why they have so many. So if you're interested in finding out why do they have so many, stay tuned. That'll be coming up. I'll also have the full local forecast for Hampton Roads, but that's later down the road. As we get this half hour started, I want to focus on the storm track. And you can see, again, we had some wet weather here across Southeast Virginia and Northeast North Carolina. But it's really the big picture that I want to focus on right now. So we'll take a look at the nation here. Things pretty quiet this morning for much of the West Coast. Not too bad down along the Southeast Coast. I'm sure some folks still partying down in New Orleans after the big Super Bowl last night, and I know folks are having a good time in Philly as well, despite the clouds this morning. Now, as we take a look, again, we had some wet weather come through our area, but I want to talk to you about what's going to develop out here and how this next system is going to move along. So we do have a storm system that is developing, and I'm going to show you a couple of the models. This is the European model. You'll notice that it does bring the moisture eastward and northeastward, bringing it into our area. Then another system, again, bringing some more wet weather Thursday into the upcoming weekend. We'll see another chance for some additional showers. So this is what I'm talking about. We've got this pattern that is shaping up, and it will be pretty unstable as we go along. Notice another system coming on to the west coast here as we look out across California, rain and some snow back across the Intermountain West, across Nevada, Utah, and up through Idaho. This is the Euro, and that's through Thursday. All right, as we take a look at the snowfall potential, I mentioned for the Northeast U.S., a lot of snow potentially. This is through Thursday and through the Mid-Atlantic. So when we're talking about this, you can see areas in the Northeast U.S. picking up anywhere 3 to 6 inches in several of these locations. We've got this heavier band through the Mid-Atlantic, and this includes much of the central and north central parts of Virginia, from Maryland all the way out into West Virginia. We have this darker shade of blue indicating more than 12 inches of snow potentially. When you get up towards Great Lakes region and Michigan, here you have potentially some really heavy snow by this model's projection, over 12 inches in some areas. And that 6 to 12 inch range extends from Michigan back down across northern Illinois. Chicagoland can pick up more than 6 inches. Heavier snow across northern Missouri. It extends out through Omaha and northern sections of Kansas. Not that everybody's going to see that much, but the potential is there for some significant snow. So we are looking at this again across the area, this heavier snow. We'll continue to watch that as we go along. Now, as we take a look at the American model, the GFS, similar situation. We've got the snow coming in with rain here, another system bringing more into Thursday up through the northeast, and there's that west coast system, the next one, which is also going to work its way across the country, giving us another round of unsettled weather into the upcoming weekend. Both the Euro and the American model, the GFS, both very similar in their thinking, bringing the system's through this week, and then another one heading into the following weekend. And you see it just making its approach to the west coast. This is through Thursday afternoon. So we're going to be watching all that. Now, the GFS, again, projects that heavy snow across Virginia. Several areas picking up some very potentially heavy snow as we go through the day Tuesday night, and into Wednesday by Thursday. And I just ran it out through Thursday morning so we'd have an end point here on this. But the bottom line is the American model also projects its heavy snow across central and northern parts of Virginia. Now, I just got an update from the 13 News Now newsroom that Governor Glenn Youngkin did declare state of emergency out ahead of this heavy snow to have everything ready to go to deal with this. So obviously it's something that emergency managers and our government officials here in Virginia taking this heavy snow threat very, very seriously. I'm going to break down a much closer look at Hampton Roads and our snow potential coming up in just a bit. But I wanted to show you the broader range because I do know a lot of folks are picking up our feed and watching the weather desk from other parts of the country. And this is something, again, where the models, both the Euro and the GFS, both these models showing the heavier snow across Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, back up through the Great Lakes. This one producing more up into Canada. But you can see those heavier pockets, some areas, again, 6 to 12 inches of snow across parts of the Northeast. Pennsylvania could see some pockets of this heavier snow if the GFS is correct. So two models, the Euro and the GFS, both pointing to very active systems here. Now, down across the deep south, and this is by Wednesday, you'll notice potential for isolated severe storms. I was looking at the National Severe Weather Outlook for today, day 1 and day 2 being tomorrow. And the Storm Prediction Center out of Norman, Oklahoma, they did not have any areas outlooked for potential severe weather. But by Wednesday, with the front coming in, a little more energy to work with here. Potentially, there could be some isolated severe storms, Louisiana into southern Mississippi and western Alabama. So we will, of course, keep a close eye to that. Now, I do want to talk to you about excessive rainfall because we focused on the snow and where it's cold enough. I think there is going to be that heavier snow. We just showed you those maps with the different models and the outlooks. This is from the Weather Prediction Center and their rain outlook, an excessive rainfall outlook. You could call it the flood outlook if you'd like. There is a slight risk, and this is again for tomorrow, for Tuesday, from East Texas across northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas, across northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, northern Georgia, into Tennessee. That's where the greatest threat is. It's a level 2 threat for flooding rain. So it does look like there's a pretty good chance for heavy rain. As we look ahead to Wednesday, it shifts just a little bit, but you've got basically 2 days, both Tuesday and Wednesday, where you can see this excessive rainfall in these areas. So we really want folks to be mindful of that. Of course, we'll keep a close eye to it. And our parent company, Tegna, has stations all around the country. So we also work with our other stations, our sister stations within our family here, our network of stations, and we'll be watching for more weather stories from different parts of the country. We'll certainly let you know. In Virginia and North Carolina, the western areas do have a marginal risk on Wednesday. I do expect some snow here with a transition to rain, and the rain could be a little heavier at times out to the west. Now, we're going to take a look at our travel delays, and what I want to do is talk to you about what's going on here in terms of potential delays. You could see today that area shaded in yellow across the central part of Virginia here, and I'm going to go ahead and use the pointer just to show you this area right in here. This is indicating a minor impact, and that was due to the rain. We also have back across parts of Montana, some areas shaded in yellow for minor, also parts of New York State and back up into Maine. Now, this is all different types of impacts, but I can break this down category by category. So we'll take a look at rain, and you see how rain is the issue in southeast Virginia and northeast North Carolina. When we check in on snow, this is where the issue is greater, back up across Montana and into Wyoming. You think about Jackson Hole, some of those areas. They actually love this snow this time of year. The ski industry loves it, and they need that snow out west for their snowpack. That helps with providing water during the summer. So that's a look at what's going on this morning. That's early Monday. As we continue and take you through midday Monday, you'll notice the impacts a little bit greater back across portions of South Dakota and northern Nebraska. Here we have moderate delays. Again, this is all different things. Let's take a look. Snow being the primary concern right there. So we're looking at snow. Again, ice not a big deal, but snow being impactful for potential travel delays. So that's through midday today. As we take you forward, let's jump up to early Tuesday. And as we get into early Tuesday, now we're seeing the issues here back across parts of the Tennessee River Valley and down through northeast Texas. All right, again, right now that's showing you all different things that can contribute. Let's take a look at the varying things. Rain, a primary contributor there for what you're seeing in the southeast. When I click on rain, when we go to snow, you'll notice here we have moderate to major impacts back across the southern tiers of say Kentucky and into Tennessee, western parts of Virginia. This is an area here that is under winter storm warning for early Tuesday back in western Virginia. So the stage is set again for some major impacts from snow as we get into early Tuesday. As we head through the middle part of the day on Tuesday and maybe even later Tuesday, you'll notice how that threat shifts a little farther to the east. And again, this is for snow. I'll just highlight snow to show you this area in here, Virginia into West Virginia and central Kentucky. Potential for moderate to even major. You see this area that is highlighted in the pink, major travel delays potential due to heavy snow. Again, it's one of our forecast models that we have that's kind of a cool tool in just identifying areas where potentially when you consider these different factors, fog, wind, ice, snow, rain, these are all big players and obviously contribute to significant travel delays, and I like to be able to share this with you. Okay, as we take a look at ice, you'll notice that is not as big an issue. We are talking about snow being the big issue here, heavy snow at that. So that's what we're going to be looking at through midday Tuesday. We can take you forward, and we'll do that right now into late Tuesday. And now I want to draw your attention, if you are watching from Hampton Roads, and again, this is my home market right here in Southeast Virginia, Northeast North Carolina. It's late Tuesday that we have the significant or major travel delays potentially. So folks maybe wanting to fly out of Richmond or Norfolk, again, with snow coming in during the day on Tuesday and Tuesday afternoon, we do have the potential for some travel delays there, and that extends out. This is for everything, but as we take a look at the snow impacts, that's what we're really focusing on as we go late Tuesday from Virginia through West Virginia into northern Kentucky, and then areas that back out across Colorado. You'll notice Wyoming, Nebraska into northwest Kansas, and then Colorado here. Also dealing with some moderate potential travel delays due to snow. I do want to check on ice, and we don't really have a problem in Hampton Roads, but you will notice just off to the southwest over the mountains, there could be some icing issues going on there with some moderate to maybe even major issues with icing out across the spine of the Blue Ridge there. I think about places maybe out towards Asheville in North Carolina, or areas out in southwest Virginia, some of the counties out that way. We're going to be watching for some potential for icing. That is late Tuesday. Into Wednesday, looking ahead, here we go. Late Tuesday into Wednesday, we'll jump ahead early. It looks like mainly rain for southeast Virginia. The snow is not as great an issue in southeast Virginia, but as you head farther north into early Wednesday, and this is Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning, we could still have some significant moderate to almost major, maybe some major impacts for travel up around Delaware and into Maryland. So thinking about heading out early Wednesday, maybe from Baltimore or D.C., possibly out of Dover, or even around the Philly area, southern New Jersey, southern parts of Pennsylvania. You could have some issues there. And then look at this. For snow, we have our next system with potentially major travel issues from Kansas City back down through Wichita. Think about Lawrence, Kansas, some of the other areas out to the west, Manhattan, Kansas, likely to deal with some of that as well. Moderate delays all the way up through Iowa, back across Nebraska, and then out through Denver. Also, it looks like maybe some of the high country, you get up into the Sierras, back into California, some more issues there. That's early Wednesday. By midday and later Wednesday, you can see again the threats less impactful along the mid-Atlantic coast. This area looking better, but still those heavier potential issues back across Missouri midday Wednesday. You're going to be concerned getting out maybe out of St. Louis or Chicago back over to Kansas City if we do have some major issues. And again, that's largely due to snow. As I check in on ice, fortunately, ice not as big a deal. As far as wind, fog, not really a big issue, but the rain and then the snow, the big players for potential issues midday Wednesday. By late Wednesday, again, you see the potential there for the snow impacting travel out of the Midwest. Now, we can come back out into camera. You know, these colder temperatures that we're getting in the snow, these things can often tend to bring about problems with our cars. And my colleague, meteorologist Taylor Stephenson, took some time to explain why colder air affects cars and car troubles for drivers.
I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson, here to explain to you how your weather works. Every year, some drivers dread the cold weather because car woes can pile up. Scientifically, there are a couple of reasons why chilly conditions can take a toll on your vehicle. Cold air can make it harder for your battery to perform at optimal efficiency. With the chill, it takes much more energy and time for your car to warm up and get ready for the drive. Allow yourself a little more time to let your car sit and heat up before you hit the road. If your car is parked in a closed garage, make sure the garage door is open before starting your car. That pesky tire light also comes on more often in the winter. That's because the cold air causes the tire pressure to drop. As the air inside the tires cools, the air condenses and takes up less space. So you really haven't lost any air at all, but the tire is deflating. Once you start driving, the tire air will heat up through the friction between the wheels and the road, and your tires will expand again. So don't put too much more air in those wheels. Now, here's a non-scientific winter travel tip. Check around your car to make sure no furry friends are trying to hitch a ride. Animals, especially cats, try to find warmth by snuggling up to your engine or on top of your tires. Keep all of this advice in mind, and you'll have a smoother ride throughout the colder months. I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson, and that's how your weather works.
All right, Taylor. We're going to come back into Hampton Roads for just a minute, then we're going to get to those other weather topics we were talking about. But I do want to focus for just a little bit because a lot of our viewership comes from right here, Southeast Virginia, Northeast North Carolina. And we are going to have for tomorrow a weather alert day. So we just heard from Taylor Stephenson. Now is the time to make sure things like your tires are good on your car, that you've got the tires properly inflated. Again, you want to make sure your fluids are topped off, your windshield wipers are in good shape, because tomorrow we're going to deal with snow transitioning to mix and eventually rain. So we're looking at this wintry mix, wet snow, sleet, and rain, and that sets up hazardous travel. That's going to be the concern tomorrow. Now, I want to talk about impacts, and we're going to talk about the forecast confidence in these impacts. And I'm going to show you another graphic when we time out all of this and kind of give you what I feel really good about and some other aspects of this developing winter storm that are going, okay, we'll still need to watch this. But let's start off with the major impacts going to be snow, as I was showing you, for parts of our region, and messy roads. Now, this isn't for all of Hampton Roads. I think most of the snow and the messiest roads will be north of Hampton Roads, but I think we're going to see some mess here as well for a while. Ice is not as great a threat. Winds will not be an issue with this system. And our forecast confidence is pretty high in how this is going to play out. So you see it goes from medium. I've actually got it shaded into the high area, just barely into high, because there's still some question as I'll break down for you. As far as snowfall amounts, anywhere from almost all rain down across North Carolina, maybe some trace amounts or some snow mixing in initially, but it's not going to add up to much. Some areas to the north will pick up more than 4 inches, and I know that's a broad range, but we're talking about areas from northeast North Carolina picking up very little to areas up around Richmond that could see 4 or more inches of snow. Heaviest snow will be to the north, as I mentioned. Now, for Hampton Roads, it's going to be much lighter. I think maybe a slushy inch and a half, something like that. But we're going to see the rain, and that's going to wash away some of the snow. So messy roads, certainly northern parts of our viewing area again. There could be some snow-covered roads or slushy roads, and that's going to be a concern to the north. Now, this next one, I kind of thought a little bit about, kind of scratched my head a little bit, thought, okay, yeah, there's some potential for ice, but not really so much like a coating of ice, and that the ground's still pretty warm. I think initially we get some snow. Temperatures should climb in most areas. I expect a warming trend, which I'm going to show you with our futurecast in a moment. But where you have that heavier snow off to the north, and again, we're talking northern neck, maybe parts of the middle peninsula, you could have some snow that gets compacted, and it may be cold enough to support a little bit of ice. Also, I showed you the impacts out in western parts of Virginia and North Carolina. There could be some more ice issues over the mountains. But for Hampton Roads, I don't really think ice is going to be a big issue. I do think there could be some compacted snow, and there could be some icy spots overnight into early Wednesday. Again, winds are going to be fairly light from the northeast, 5 to 15 miles per hour. We do have a winter storm watch for the Richmond area, areas down to the south and the eastern shore, Accomack County. Notice Hampton Roads not under any alerts at this time. Now, could there be a winter weather advisory issued tomorrow? Sure. I think there will be for parts of the area if things time out and work out the way it's looking right now. North of that, though, there is a winter storm warning, and this includes the northern neck. You can see back over I-95 north of Richmond. And then as you run out towards Charlottesville, you get up towards Stanton, down through Lexington and areas out to the west of that. And then it excludes areas out around Roanoke and Lynchburg, down through South Boston. Those areas all under winter storm warning. And this is going to be during the day tomorrow. So this is what we're going to be watching. Now, you take a look at our local situation here. We had some showers this morning. That stuff's all pulling away. Afternoon, I expect some gradual clearing. Not too bad. As we go into our overnight and early tomorrow, clouds are going to increase, and here comes that snow creeping in from the west. Now, in the morning commute looks okay, but I do expect snow to eventually fill in. Probably 9:30, 10 o'clock, we start to see some of it. I think more of it across the north, and then we get a little bit more coming in. But notice mainly rain here. And I will tell you, this graph model just updated and shifted a little farther north. The previous run, there's a little more snow down here to start. Now, temperatures are borderline. You're talking mid-30s, Tappahannock, West Point, and Richmond. But if the snow's heavy enough, it's going to pull down some colder air, and you could get those temperatures actually falling into the low 30s a little bit later in the afternoon. And these are the areas where you have that potential for 3-4 inches of snow or even higher amounts if they get that heavier snow and it's more prolonged. I do think the general thinking that it's going to get warmer is why we are spared the heavier impacts here in Hampton Roads. It's going to be a chilly rain. There could be some obviously slick spots, maybe some slushy areas up on the peninsula. But we're just watching this, and we're going to continue to monitor with that eventual transition to rain for most of the area. And again, this graph model that just came out, I mean within the last 10 minutes or so, has trended warmer than the previous model that I had out a little earlier this morning that I was looking at. So that's what we're looking at. Again, mainly rain. The snow for northern areas, this is the area that we're most concerned with lesser chances down to the south. And again, that's the graph model. All right, as we take a look at the snowfall potential with the graph, you'll notice the better chances for the snow off to the north, minor amounts here. And just to let you know, the previous graph model had about 1/2 inch to 1 inch in this area, 1 inch to 2 inches here. So again, it's trending a little warmer with this latest update. That's something to note. Areas north of Richmond, this is where you could see 4 inches or more. Keep in mind, our global models, the GFS and the Euro, we're going with heavier amounts up that way. All right, that's a look at the graph. Here's the snowfall potential with the GFS, and this is where you see some of those heavier amounts like Tappahannock, okay? They could have some heavier amounts, and you see those very heavy amounts north of that. We'll see. Again, the global models don't always do as good a job, especially as we start to get closer to the window of this thing actually occurring. Again, the Euro calling for lesser amounts here, and this is a change that we will likely make. We'll likely transition more to that warmer scenario. So earlier, again, with the slightly colder scenario, we were looking maybe at dusting, but keep in mind, we were talking about just what falls, not what you actually see on the ground, because we know there's going to be rain mixing in, and that transition to rain is going to wash away a lot of what you'd see, the heavier chances or the snow more significant off to the north. So precipitation types, so models have largely agreed, snow or mix to start, then changing over to rain. That's the scenario we expect. Confidence is moderate to high there. Snow totals, well, the timing and transition of rain from south to north remains tricky. And I can tell you, I just showed you a brand new model that brought more warm in earlier. That's why it's only moderate. I don't anticipate too much snow. I'm not too worried about the snow forecast until you get north of Hampton Roads and north of our immediate viewing area. Central and northern parts of Virginia likely to deal with a lot more of this. And again, the key to our forecast for snow, whether we're talking middle peninsula, parts of the peninsula over the eastern shore, it really comes down to how quickly we transition to rain. And if it happens quickly, we're going to get very little, if any, snow. And if it takes longer, we could see a little bit more before the transition. So there's still some uncertainty there. Now, the precip timing overall, all the models are pointing towards that unsettled weather starting mid to late morning. So confidence is pretty high that we are going to see something across the area tomorrow and continuing tomorrow through the day and into tomorrow evening. All right, that's a look at this upcoming winter storm. I think we've covered that pretty extensively now. As you can see, we are looking for drier conditions today, some sunshine breaking through, and as we look forward over the coming days, temperatures cool for the next few days, a little warmer Thursday, another shot of cold air there, and then warmer conditions setting up as we go Saturday into Sunday. As we take this full, you'll notice there's another drop in temperatures coming up Monday into Tuesday. So, you know, it's not like we're going to warm up and stay warm there, but this is where I have to remind you, we are just weeks away from meteorological spring, which means, believe it or not, it's time to start prepping your garden. WCNC meteorologist Chris Mulcahy has healthy garden tips to raise your weather IQ.
We're officially halfway done with the winter season, and February is actually a great month to prepare your garden or yard for spring. Here are some tips and to-dos for the month of February. The following information was gathered from the Extension of Master Gardeners of Mecklenburg County. For your yard, do not weed and feed products this month, but do apply crabgrass preventer in late February. Now is also the perfect time to service your lawn equipment. The first round of fertilizer can be put down for fescue grass and other cool season lawns as well. Make a plan, assess what worked and didn't last season, and map out what you want to do this year. Bulbs. Start being aware that early spring bulbs could start growing soon. When these are about 1 inch high, start removing mulch and fertilize those emerging bulbs. Doing this on a cloudy day is the best idea. This is also a good time to buy your fall flowering bulbs, such as dahlias and lilies, but do not plant them yet. Soil temperatures need to be at least 55 degrees. If you have pansies, they should be fed at the end of the month. For your ornamentals, late February is pruning season for crepe myrtles and summer blooming shrubs. All right, vegetable gardeners, get ready, get set, trowel, because some vegetables, believe it or not, can and should be planted right now. Arugula can be planted until late March. Asparagus crowns can be planted from early February to late March. Cabbage from February 15th to April 1st. Carrots from now until March 8th. Lettuce's planting window is open all the way up to the end of April. An onion and green onion could have been planted in January, but the window is still open through March. And we're done for February, but truly, we've only just begun. With your weather IQ, scratch that, your garden IQ, I'm meteorologist Chris Mulcahy.
All right, Chris, appreciate that. Hard to think about, when we talk about all the snow that's coming in and those active wintry weather. It is time to start thinking about that spring garden. And now something I've really been looking forward to as we check in on our 50th state, Hawaii. Oh, love it, one of my favorite places. We've talked about the fires and volcanoes in Hawaii, but on the brighter side, Hawaii is considered the rainbow capital of the world. Let's take a look at why.
Well, Hawaii has maybe the best rainbows on the planet. When we see a beautiful rainbow, it just stops us in our tracks mostly. And it makes us forget about the future and the past and brings us to the now.
Hawaii has so many rainbows that they've become a symbol of island life. You can see them painted on the sides of buildings and city buses. They also appear on the state's vehicle license plates. The reason Hawaii has so many rainbows is the weather. Lots of sunshine, short showers, and trade winds. The clean air also helps. All these together combine to create some of the world's best conditions for seeing rainbows. In Native Hawaiian tradition, rainbows are a signal of supernatural or divine power. For some Native Hawaiians, the emergence of a rainbow is a sign that a family deity or a personal god is present. This can be very comforting and a signal that one is being loved and watched over.
I think that for many people, looking at a rainbow is like a wonderful, positive thing. Whereas in ancient Hawaii, looking at a rainbow would be a portent of something. Probably something important and someone important. Maybe a person of extremely high mana is indicated by that rainbow. So that's a distinction that probably is lost to the majority of people that live in Hawaii nowadays.
Scientists say that climate change will likely lead to a decline in rainbows in some parts of the world, like Brazil, though some places like Alaska may see more rainbows. They believe Hawaii will continue to see lots of rainbows, though the drier sides of the islands may have fewer of them. This is an area that needs more study.
No. And if climate change means we see fewer rainbows, I think all that will mean is that people will appreciate them more when they do see them.
Love those Hawaiian rainbows. They are gorgeous. Well, we don't have any rainbows here in Virginia Beach, but our Thompson Creek Window Company Skyview does show the waves there at the ocean front. And again, we are going to find chances for some wet weather and potentially some wintry weather. Here's the 7-day forecast for Hampton Roads. As we look forward, you're going to find the conditions, again, a little unsettled today. The last of the wet weather settling out now. We've got good chances for the wintry mix tomorrow and snow changing over to rain, especially northern parts of the area. As we look forward to Wednesday and Thursday, more chilly rain expected. Temperatures do start to trend up. Valentine's Day should be drier. That's the gift, right? We're going to hope that you've got a nice night to take that special someone maybe out and grab a dinner or have a nice evening together. At any rate, with temperatures in the mid-40s, pretty good cuddling weather. After some warmer weather, you may need to huddle together for warmth. Looking ahead to Saturday and Sunday, chances for some more scattered showers. All right, that's going to do it for the weather. I can tell you, if you have any questions or any feedback for us, we'd love to get it. You can find me on Facebook at Craig Moeller, Instagram at Craig Moeller TV, and on X, formerly Twitter, at 13 Craig Moeller. And you can download our 13 News Now app. This is the best way to stay up with all of the potential for wintry weather and the unsettled weather. If there's anything, you could get the radar updates, you get our forecast updates, any special coverage we have. And we do plan on doing a special extended weather desk tomorrow starting at 9 o'clock. We're going to be continuing with basically a 2-hour or 2.5-hour long weather desk covering the developing wintry weather moving into Hampton Roads. So we've got that set up for tomorrow morning. Be sure and join us back here at the 13 News Now Plus app for the weather desk. Again, today's top weather headlines from Hampton Roads, across the region, across the country, and around the world. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. Guys, stay safe out there and join us again next time.